What's that song? Owner of a lonely heart.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Who sings it? Who's that?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Owner of a lonely heart.
One of the most perfectly produced songs in the history of music, that song.
So is your mom. Hey, welcome back to our stupid reactions. You need some Corbin.
I'm ready.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter,
So
bang! Follow us on person YouTube channels in the description below.
If I had full dentures, I'd purposefully make them fall out of my mouth one time. Just go, oh no! And then just sit there and go.
Gross. Today we are doing a movie review of our second Punjabi language film.
Say what?
I know! With a few people in it.
One of the quickest from trailer reaction to movie reviews.
I mean,
can you blame us, guys?
Based off who's
Can
in
you
it.
blame us? It
Just
kicked
based
off all of the acting, and we needed to do another Punjabi film, and acting, and Irrfan, and Tillotama.
But yes, this is Qissa. Is
yes,
that how you pronounce that?
I would call it Qissa.
Qissa?
Yep.
I don't know if there's a better pronunciation for that, but The Tale of a Lonely Ghost.
Is that what made you think of that song?
Yes. That's why I thought about it. But it's a 2000... When did this come out, Rick?
I want to say, if I'm...
2013.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not that long ago.
That was 8 years ago.
Yeah, but I'm not, it wasn't like
Yeah.
2009 or something.
But directed and written by, say,
By, here I have it in my notes as well, Anup Singh.
Anup Singh.
Which, what's the deal? Here we go again. His second film.
Oh, dang. Dang. Starring a bunch of people, but the main four are Irrfan Khan, Tisca Chopra, Tillotama Shome. How do you say her last name?
Shome.
Shome.
Yeah, Tillotama
and,
Shome.
Rasika
And Rasika Dugal.
Dugal. Those are
Is it Dugal or Dugal?
I don't know.
I'm going to guess it's Dugal. Rasika Dugal.
That sounds right.
Right.
But I know a lot of you haven't seen this film, and I don't really know where it's available.
And I don't know why it's not available.
Yeah, but
Seems strange.
if you haven't watched it, go watch it and then come back. It's kind of hard to talk about without spoilers.
It's impossible.
There's kind of a big thing that
talk
happens
about it.
there at the end.
Well, several things happen. That's just to dive into the film. We're gonna have to talk about some things that, unfortunately, we may get only like 27 people who watch this review because you all need to go watch the movie and then come back and see it.
Saw it on a site, but I think Mubi, somebody said it might be available. It might be available, but those aren't available for us.
Exactly. More than likely, it's way more available for you in India than it is for us here in the States.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people didn't see this film. But regardless, we wanted to watch it. Saw the trailer. Yes. So Rick, your initial thoughts, please.
It lived up to the hype. I have a lot to say. I wrote a paragraph, but it's about the moral, what I think the basic meaning of the film is. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a paragraph about that. Mm-hmm. But as far as the actual film is concerned, I only had a couple of things that I wish were a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I really, really liked it a lot.
I liked all except for maybe the last 10 minutes.
Oh, you didn't like the last 10 minutes?
We'll get to the ending and I'll talk about why I didn't really enjoy that part, but the rest of it, I mean, in terms of acting, it's going to be hard to get better than this for a lot of people. It's one of my favorite Irrfan performances because it's so different.
So different for him.
And I love it when actors do that, and that was like one of my things with, even though we haven't seen all this stuff, I'm like, Irrfan, he's phenomenal. I would love to see him do some different stuff, and clearly we just hadn't seen enough. He did a phenomenal job. Let's talk about the acting first, because we're going to talk about all four of these actors. But Irrfan first. Man, the dude is incredible, because in this, once again, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, please. Go watch it. I don't want to spoil anything. This guy is awful, okay? But the way Irrfan plays him, you still, for some God knows what reason, sympathize for him. And that's the mark of a great actor.
the mark of a great actor, a well-written character, and the best part about that, which is not a surprise coming from one of the greatest actors who has ever graced the screen, is the fact that this is the kind of role that an inexperienced actor would turn into a stereotype.
Make him a villain.
And make him a villain.
Even though he is. And they would make him a stereotypical.
And it goes against everything. So the school of thought that I come from when it comes to acting is Uta Hagen, and then the person who took the baton from her, who I'm blessed to say is my acting teacher, is Howard Fine. And one of the cardinal sins of this approach to acting is to prejudge a character. Because we never prejudge ourselves. And I promise you, there's things about ourselves that are repugnant. And we don't see them, and we don't think they're repugnant because it's us. So you cannot do that to a character you're playing, most especially one that you yourself, because the thing you have to do, another trait of Uta Hagen and Howard Fine, is you need to find yourself in the character. You got to go to some places in yourself that are pretty deplorable, and probably some places that you just aren't there, and you've got to connect them somehow and make them. And he did exactly what you said. I was actually somewhat empathetic toward a guy that ordinarily I would want to see just beating the crap out of.
So it's about halfway through, I guess.
Because he does awful things.
Yeah, but I turned to my wife and I'm like, here's what's incredible about Irrfan. He's playing him, obviously, honestly, like we say. You have to play him honestly. And you can't, this guy doesn't believe he's doing anything wrong. He also believes everything he's doing is for the best of his family, for the best for himself. It's not.
By any stretch.
But you have to play the character that way. You can't play him like, I'm this terrible guy who just wants a son, who would be an awful performance if an actor played it that way. He plays it so honestly. And also, I don't know if it's his acting ability or if it's just a gift he has, that some actors have this gift, is that they just have a wonderful demeanor about them.
Likability about them.
That they just can't shake. And so that helps them when they're playing this character that, even though he's awful, you still end up feeling for him for some reason.
And I would love to see him play a character that goes very, very off. The character that always comes to mind for me, for one of my favorite actors of all time, is Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo. Because in that film, you do like him at first and you feel sorry for the guy. But one of the reasons Robin Williams fans didn't like it, which I wish they had seen him more than just the comic and seen him for the thespian, because he was first and foremost an actor, was the dark place that character goes. And that character's scary. You don't like him. Whereas with this character, he does scary things, but the man himself, and it's one of the most important things to recognize, because the demonization of bad guys is not, first of all, it's not honest, because it's like a really well-rounded, the ultimate evil person we think of in contemporary history is Hitler. Well, I promise you, there were probably moments when if you were around him, you probably might have liked the guy.
Well, he was apparently very charismatic.
Very charismatic, probably told some great jokes. Life of the party. He was a freaking spectacular public speaker. And you can't just, put him over to the side that way. And I agree with you. The aspect of Irrfan just being a likable persona in and of himself helps.
It helps.
Now the ladies.
Let's talk about the one we haven't really seen very much. Tisca Chopra, who I think we've seen in either short films or smaller
but
parts.
not nearly as much as Rasika or Tillotama.
She did a phenomenal job.
Great job.
I actually wish they could have fleshed out their relationship a little
I would
more.
have loved to have seen more of her, because I felt, and it says a lot, that as an ensemble, the movie stars Irrfan Khan, everybody. And the rest of the cast is right there with him. I was as impressed with them as I was with Deepika and Piku.
Absolutely.
When she was opposite Irrfan and Big B, and she's holding her own on screen with those guys.
I thought did a really good job. I would have loved it even more, because a couple of my gripes with this film, which we'll get into later, I think it could have been 2.5 hours.
It absolutely could have been.
I think they could have fleshed this out a little more. It could have been. So they could, their relationship, the whole dynamic with, the mom having to deal with the dad being a crazy person. And
what is the runtime?
About 1:50, I think.
Here's the challenge, I think. It wouldn't surprise me if the director, if Mr. Singh had, if he had opted with the writer to keep it on the short side because they wanted to hit the film festival circuit and appeal to the mindset of the West.
They might have. Yeah.
We've become Indianized in terms of being okay with long run times now, and I'm with you. I would have, if this had run 2:15 or 2:20, just to build up her relationship with him. Maybe give us a little more. Sure.
But I thought she did a phenomenal job. She all of her scenes with Irrfan. It was a beautiful, awful, beautiful moment when after Irrfan, which one wonderful direction by.
Are we getting into spoilers?
No. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So obviously, once again, if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Go watch it because we're going to talk about some things in the film.
But the moment where obviously the son fell. And then Irrfan, after the doctor left, beat his daughters. I was so uncomfortable.
It was so well done.
It was extremely... They didn't put score. They just let you watch Irrfan beat these women.
Mercilessly. Like, with everything he had.
Yeah. Which, once again, having Irrfan play that type of character, I'm like, oh my God.
You know, the last time we saw him in a negative role, quote unquote...
Was Pan Singh Tomar a little bit?
Well, no, I'm thinking actually Seven Kun Maaf when he was the abusive husband.
Okay, yeah.
Similar. That character actually is a bit darker, I think. Even though this guy does way worse stuff.
Yes.
What that guy does is awful.
Yeah.
But there was a bitter, dark, unredeemable edge to that guy. There was. I sensed from this character, and it's the well-roundedness of the writing, directing, and especially of Irrfan and the supporting people around him. This gets into what we'll talk about, kind of the moral of the story. He is what he is, not just by reason of himself. He's a product of what has happened.
Yeah.
And it's the nature versus nurture aspect of, and I wonder if that was Irrfan's approach to the character. He's like, how much of this is really his responsibility? And how much of this is he's become who he is because this is how he was taught to be, right?
Yeah. And so that after that moment, which was an awful scene, but so well done. The fact that they didn't put a score behind it, they just let you feel uncomfortable.
Beautiful direction.
Which is what you want in that moment because it's an awful thing that's happening. But then after that, they were talking, and then Irrfan tries to have a touching moment with his wife, and he lays down on her lap, and I'm like, bro,
right?
And she did a phenomenal job as an actress, and you saw her uncomfortableness.
Yeah, you saw her shutting down.
She can't do anything.
That's exactly what I thought. She's stuck, man.
So I thought,
what is she gonna do?
I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah, I did too.
She did a great job. Rasika Tillotama. Oh, boy, loved it.
How much did you love the getting to know you scenes between the two of them when she discovers the true nature for both of them? Both Tillotama's believability of everything I thought about myself is shattered because of what I was lied about. But I found the last time I felt this connection with two women getting to know each other was in a film. If you haven't seen this film, it's Portrait of a Lady on Fire from France, and that's all I'm going to say. And I so loved their love for each other.
Yeah, I did really enjoy it. Their chemistry was off the charts. I loved it. I had an issue with the writing and how they built their characters a little bit.
In what way?
Because they built it up when she didn't know that she was a woman. They built it up. There was a lot of the sexual tension. They did both of them. Rasika Tillotama did a phenomenal job in building their relationship. They said, I fell in love with a woman. I fell in love with a woman.
I love that moment when they both laughed.
5 minutes later, we'll live together as friends and sisters.
Right.
So I don't know what happened in the writing room, whether they didn't want to go that route. I'm fine if, like, after she found out she's a woman, if like they're like, yeah, we love each other, we want to live as sisters, or they love each other and they're gonna be together. So they gave me multiple things there that I was like, I don't even know if you know what you want to do with this relationship.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah,
that didn't bother me.
It didn't make any sense that I fell in love with a woman, I fell in love with a woman, 5 minutes later, we'll live together as friends and sisters.
Well, it did for me. Like, for example, if you know, if I were in a situation like that,
Because I thought they loved each other and they like together, like they wanted to be intimate with each other.
see,
That's what I thought.
that's where.
I would have been fine if it was the other way, but you have to build it that way.
But that's why I actually like that choice, because what it does, and I love stories like this, is it takes it to the place where the love at that level, a depth of compatibility and wanting to be together forever, transcends the physical expression with one another.
Oh, that's true, but don't say I love you, but then we're gonna live together as brother sister. Blah 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 blah. So that was just the confusing part of me. But once again, that doesn't take away the. That's just a writing nitpick from me. Their performances were phenomenal.
Beautiful.
Tisca Chopra quickly rising for me. She was so different because the other two that we've seen her in outside of the prostitute in what was that from?
Sorry.
Nawaswing.
Right.
But that was just a little bit part.
Anyway, go ahead. Move on.
Yeah. She was so different in this. I even believed at times, I was like,
Wait, you mean Rasika?
I'm talking to Tillotama right now.
Oh, okay, Tillotama. Gotcha. Because you said Tisca, so I immediately went over to Tisca Chopra.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tillotama.
Tillotama, okay.
I even believed her multiple times as playing a man. She, I thought, carried herself very well. She carried herself way different than she carried her in the other films. Because there she had almost an innocence about her, and I thought she did a phenomenal job. The writing, I thought, did a good job. And when she was putting on dresses, I was like, I even said out loud, I'm like, she's not going to feel comfortable in a dress.
Right.
Her personality has been shaped, even though she is a woman and like probably identifies as a woman. Her personality and self has been molded by her father, who says she's been a man her entire life.
Right.
So she's not just going to be able to switch.
No.
It's like if like somebody just told me I was a woman and now I have to wear a bunch of dresses. I wouldn't feel normal in that.
Correct.
That's not how I was brought up, for better or worse.
Right. Yeah, that's her perspective.
But like, I thought she did a really good job at handling those complexities of that character.
I did too, which is not an easy thing to do. I believed them all of the time, all the way through up and until the end. So getting now to, for me, now I'm very interested to know what it is about the last 10 to 15 minutes you didn't like, because for me, the last 10 to 15 minutes basically summarize the totality of what the whole film is supposed to be about.
Okay.
So I'm interested to know what it is you didn't like about it.
No, I didn't. It came out of left field for me. And normally I'm very into endings that catch me off guard and all that kind of stuff.
And seeing something coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you normally have to build it up. This world for me built up realism. And then you took it into supernatural there in the last 10 minutes. And you didn't build that outside of, there was one time in the beginning where they, obviously, Irrfan was talking about a curse and that whole thing.
Yes.
I get that. But the rest of the time, I was getting realism. Everything was in reality.
It was.
And then it's just flipped on a dime. And I understand what the message was. I get it. It's just, for me, it was out of left field. And I would have preferred, it didn't I was ready to put this in like Hellorau for me, and that jumped it down for me because of the ending.
Oh, I absolutely.
I didn't hate the film. Obviously, I love the first hour 40.
No, as it got into that part of the story, and I realized what they were doing, I started making a list while I was watching, and I'm just putting down the films that I love the most and would recommend the most in recent times we've seen them, and it was, Parched, Hellorau, and this.
Yeah.
I put this in that same place. That aspect of it, it doesn't bother me because of the point of the story, which I think I know the point of the story. If I don't, it's okay. If this is my takeaway, I think, but I think I know the point of the story, and it's. But I like. It's nice to see a film that's representational of something of the supernatural by not differentiating between the invisible realm and the physical realm in any way and just letting them blend with one another, because the impact of the two on one another, most especially the invisible into the physical realm, is more poignant, my personal belief, than most people give it credit to. And if it's not that definitively, where there is a recognition of it, just say scientifically.
Gotcha.
it is that way in the way people think and behave. The things that they believe become that which they actually do. So for me, that's the paragraph I wrote, was the moral of the story, and it's related to this ending.
Gotcha.
So here's what I thought the ending, the last 10 to 15 minutes, and especially the ending, which is also kind of revealed in the title, because there's a reason they added the tale of a lonely ghost.
Yeah.
So here's my paragraph. I believe Umber Singh, that's Irrfan's character, represents the generational spirit of patriarchal chauvinism, a male-centric bigotry that considers the only worth found in feminism to be those that only serve the needs of the man's ego, and to achieve the ultimate goal of the deification of the masculine self. This generational spirit is so blind to its own warped moral construct and deviant desire to find its eternal moon that it will literally destroy anything and everything that gets in the way of it acquiring what it needs to fill its insatiable desire to elevate the male ego above all. In an ironic twist of fate, in its pursuit to achieve masculine dominance in its lineage and legacy, it unwittingly destroys its own lineage and legacy, because in the end, nothing remains. Wife dead, daughter-in-law dead, another daughter gone mad, and the generational home with all its belongings burned to the ground, with nothing remaining except, of all things, a mirror, the perfect object for the insatiable ego. And I think the actual physical man that existed and the ghost that comes is, this was the actual person.
Yeah.
But then the ghost is that which was possessing him, which is this generational spirit within male chauvinism that is not satiated and does not stop in search of, my moon. So to see that transition where he was just there and then interacting, for me, I thought underscored the fact that this interweaving of this generational spirit is so permanent in the physical realm that it's inseparable.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Oh no, I totally get that. I think that's a perfect explanation of what they were going for. I think they could have made that message by keeping it in the real.
I loved it.
But I don't.
Another little thing I noticed, and this is, I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff we missed because we aren't Indian, we aren't Punjabi, but I did do some research on something because I knew we're being told this for some reason. The Festival of Lori, that's central. Apparently, that central theme of the Lori songs is this legend of somebody named Dulabati who lived in Punjab and was regarded as a hero for rescuing Hindu girls from being forcibly taken to be sold into the slave market. And as a part of those celebrations, it was common and traditional for the children to go around homes singing those songs, and especially the youngsters would go and the girls would go and sing. So I remember there was a moment where Tillotama's character, Kanwar, as a little girl, was watching the other girls go sing the Lori songs.
Yeah.
And you could see, I loved that aspect of the character, which made me think of a whole other aspect of this that wasn't intentionally dominant, but is still there, of anybody who was born male, but inside feels female, and what that must be like to see what the girls are doing.
Yeah.
And inside you're like, I want to be doing that, but I'm being told I can't.
Yeah.
It touched on that for me too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Getting me emotional.
Yeah, I love, and I'm glad you like the ending, so we have this juxtaposition, really.
Yes. The moon at the end. Did you notice the moon on the? I mean, come on.
But like I said, I really enjoyed this film. It's 100% worth a watch. It's really sad that it wasn't as accepted as it was, or as watched as it could have been. There's one other thing. It's not really the film's fault, but it was frustrating to me. They blurred out nudity.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up.
Twice. And I found out is because this was given a UA something.
Okay.
And whatever, it's not the film's fault, but they had to give it a UA, and so they had to blur it out. It's just really frustrating.
Really frustrating.
Because that takes away making the actors do it in the first place. So in the vulnerability, Tillotama and the other, I think it was Tisca.
It happened twice.
I think it was Tisca at the beginning, but the great scene, Tillotama, it was very Shakespearean.
It was Tisca's bath.
Yeah.
And it was really from behind.
Yeah. Which was dumb because also they showed Tillotama from the back.
When when she starts yelling at her father ghost, right? And she starts saying what she's saying, and I know she's having a meltdown, and no one else can see him, but she can.
Mm-hmm.
And I see her go to take this off. Everything inside of me was, give me Cersei walking the shame walk. Give me full frontal right now, because that would be what we need to see right now, to be completely shaken
the vulnerability of this character,
our core, and the vulnerability of this woman, and the fact that she is fully embracing who she is and what he did to her, and saying, I am this. And the blurriness of it,
it takes away,
just pulled me away from what could have been one of the most powerful cinematic moments I've seen in a long, long time.
It is extremely frustrating.
Really, really deeply aggravating.
You shouldn't even have the scene if you're going to do that.
And again, it's not the filmmaker's fault.
No, we get it. But it's just extremely frustrating, because it was a very Hamlet moment that she was putting her all into this scene, and she, I believe, like Radhika Apte and Parch, or no, was it Parch?
It was Parch.
It was Parched. Was extremely vulnerable in that moment, but you took away the whole meaning for it by doing that.
And it is not...
just shoot it from the neck up if you're going to do that.
Yeah, but even then, I got to tell you, and what I'm about to say is not it's not a chastisement of the director in any way, okay? I can just tell you...
It's more frustration of censorship than anything.
It's the frustration of censorship, and I can tell you that if this was something I had wanted to create as a director and a writer, I don't know what I would have done.
I wouldn't have released it.
Because I don't know that I would have released it, and I would have had just a director's cut available for anybody who wants to see it. Because for me, the pinnacle moment that means the most to that is that moment. And anybody who thinks that a moment like that, where we would see her naked, is either voyeuristic or pornographic, has a demented and warped opinion of the human body and sexuality, because that is not a sexual moment by any stretch of the imagination. And the human body is actually a pretty beautiful thing. So if you go into museums, you'll see a lot of nudes painted and sculpted, but in a film, and this film has nothing that would attract a young audience to watch it. So it's not like a kid should accidentally stumble upon this film. It's an adult film with adult content. It was, really frustrating.
I don't care that boobies make you uncomfortable.
Don't watch a film. If the film makes you uncomfortable, don't watch it. It makes you uncomfortable, fine.
I've heard this argument. It's like, if we're watching a film with our parents and boobs show up, I don't give two shits. Does your mom have boobs? She does.
And it's fine if that's what you guys do. Then don't watch films where people show...
Don't censor my films because they make you uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Just don't watch them. A rating system is good.
Right.
Censorship is... Sorry. It's not about this film. Censorship is one of the things that gets me so fired up. Because
it really is.
It pisses me the fuck off. But this film is great. Anyways, once again, I really hope you're not here if you haven't seen the film. But if you haven't, please go watch it. It's definitely worth your time. And let us know what's from all these films, from Irrfan, Tisca, Tillotama, and Rasika.
Oh, one real quick thing. When she shoots him...
Oh, yeah.
I was so
mad. Because you wanted to see Irrfan.
Hey, I was like, you did it to us again? The last Irrfan movie I saw, middle of the film, he's gone. I was so pissed, but thankfully he's not gone. So,
let us know what's the next Punjabi film we need to watch.
Irrfan, and Tillotama, and Rasika.
Let us know down below.